Welcome to my channel, Commanders of History. Today's story will take you deep inside a U.S. Marine base, where laughter, pride, and history collided in one unforgettable moment. What began as a light joke between a young Marine and an old man soon turned into a lesson the entire camp would never forget. Stay with me till the end because this is not just a story about rank. It's about respect, legacy, and the silent power of sacrifice. It was a hot afternoon in the desert training zone. The Marines had just returned from a long patrol. Their uniforms were dusty, their boots heavy with sand and their faces marked by fatigue. Inside the GP tent, the general-purpose tent that served as their dining and rest area, the air buzzed with tired chatter and laughter. Private Mason, one of the youngest Marines in the unit, was known for his sense of humor. At just 21, he carried the reckless energy of youth. He loved to make his brothers in arms laugh, especially after a long, grueling day. "Hey, look who's visiting us," Mason said, pointing toward the entrance. Everyone turned. An old man, probably in his late 70s, walked slowly toward them. He wore plain khaki trousers and a faded jacket. His hair was silver, his skin lined with years of sun and war. But his eyes, sharp, calm, and steady, carried something that instantly drew attention. The tent went quiet for a moment as he approached. Then Sergeant Hill, the senior in charge, stepped forward. "Afternoon, sir. Can I help you?" The old man nodded politely. "I was told I could find Captain Reynolds here. He served with my son years ago." The Marines exchanged glances. The captain was out on a meeting, but no one wanted to turn the old man away. Hill gestured toward a chair. "Please have a seat, sir." "The captain should be back soon." The old man smiled gently and sat down. The young Marines went back to their meals, whispering and chuckling quietly. Mason, still feeling playful, leaned over and grinned. "So, old-timer, you ever serve, or are you just visiting us tough guys for a story?" A few Marines sloughed under their breath. The old man looked at him, still calm. "I did my time," he said softly. "A long time ago." "Oh yeah," Mason said, teasing. "What was your rank, cook clerk?" The laughter grew a little louder, but Sergeant Hill gave Mason a sharp look. "Enough, Private." The old man raised a hand slightly. "It's all right, Sergeant. He's young. He doesn't know." He reached into his jacket and pulled out something wrapped in cloth. When he unwrapped it, the entire tent fell silent. It was a Medal of Honor, old, scratched, and heavy with history. Mason froze. His grin vanished. The old man placed the medal gently on the table. "I earned this in 1968, he said quietly. "He's in Vietnam. I was a gunnery sergeant then." No one moved. Even the hum of the desert wind seemed to stop. Hill's posture straightened instantly. He saluted sharply. "Sir, we didn't know." The old man returned the salute with tired dignity. "You weren't supposed to. I didn't come here for that. I came to see the captain because I served with his father. We were in the same unit. Your captain was just a boy when his father was killed in action." Mason's throat tightened. "Sir, I didn't mean to." The old man stopped him gently. "It's all right, son. I've met a lot of young men like you, full of life, full of pride. That's what keeps this uniform alive." He looked around the tent. "But remember something. Rank fades. Time takes it away. What never fades is the respect you give to those who came before you, because one day someone younger will look at you the same way, and you'll hope they understand." The tent was completely silent. Even the toughest Marines looked humbled. Then the flap opened and Captain Reynolds walked in. When he saw the old man, his face changed. He rushed forward. "Gunnery Sergeant Cole." The old man stood up and smiled. "Hello, son. You look just like your father." The captain's voice broke slightly. I didn't know you were still alive. My father talked about you before every deployment." Cole nodded. "He was a good man. Saved my life more than once." The two men embraced and the Mariners stood at attention. The captain turned toward them. "Men, you are looking at a legend." Gunnery Sergeant Cole fought at Cannes. He carried 3 wounded Marines to safety. While under fire, refused evacuation and went back for a 4th. That's why he wears that medal. The old man lowered his gaze humbly. I didn't do it for the medal, I did it because they were my brothers. Mason felt a lump form in his throat. He stood up straight and saluted. Permission to speak, sir. Cole nodded. I'm sorry, sir, I was out of line. Cole smiled faintly. Apology accepted. Private. But don't just say sorry. Learn from it. Respect isn't given because of medals or ranks. It's earned in how you treat people, no matter how they look or how old they are. Mason nodded firmly. Yes, sir. The old man turned to the captain. I brought something for you. He pulled a small worn photograph from his pocket. It showed two young soldiers standing shoulder to shoulder, smiling in the dirt of Vietnam. Your father wanted you to have this when you were ready. I think now's the time. The captain took it with trembling hands. Thank you, Gunny, I'll treasure it. The old man glanced around the tent one last time. You boys keep each other safe. That's all that matters in the end. He turned to leave, but Hill called out, Sir, would you stay for dinner? It'd be an honor. Cole smiled sadly. I appreciate that, son, but I've had enough chow tents for one lifetime. He gave one last salute. The captain and his men returned it, standing tall. As the old man disappeared into the golden light outside, silence hung heavy in the tent. Mason looked down at the Medal of Honor still on the table. The captain picked it up carefully and handed it back to him. You'll carry this one day, he said quietly to Mason. Not this medal, but the weight of respect. Don't forget what it feels like. Mason nodded, his eyes glistening. I won't, sir. That night, no one joked in the GP tent. They sat quietly, each man lost in thought. For the first time, Mason understood what being a Marine truly meant. It wasn't about muscles or jokes or ranks. It was about honor, the kind that lives long after the uniform fades. Outside, under the starlit desert sky, Gunnery Sergeant Cole walked slowly back to his jeep. He looked at the horizon, the same kind of sky he'd seen 50 years ago in Vietnam. A tear rolled down his cheek as he whispered, Rest easy, boys. They still remember. He started the engine and drove off into the night, the dust swirling behind him like the memories of 1,000 battles. Back in the tent, the captain stood by the entrance watching the lights fade. He's their ace and we wear this uniform with pride, he said softly. Never forget him, and no one ever did. That moment, the day a young Marine learned the meaning of respect became a story passed down through generations. It reminded every Marine that no matter how tough or brave you think you are, there's always someone who's carried more, lost more, and given more than you can imagine. Thank you for watching Commanders of History. If this story touched your heart, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more true, emotional, and cinematic stories that honor those who served and those who never stopped believing in duty, respect, and brotherhood.